Hello everyone and welcome to another Top 5 Records video. It's December again, the most wonderful time of the year, and I love listening to Christmas records this time of the year. About a year ago I did a video on my channel with the top 25 best Christmas albums, but this year I'm going to be talking about Christmas songs. So what are the 30 best Christmas songs out there? Without further ado, I'm going to kick off this list with at number 30. Wizard, I Wish It Could Be Christmas Every Day. Now, why kick off this list with Wizard? I really enjoy this song. I think it has a very bright and cheerful mood. It's one of those really light-hearted hard rock or glam rock songs. Like glam rock, I think we could define Wizard as a glam rock band. But there's definitely some 70s rocking going on there. And if you look at the video that they shot to promote this single, they go all out Christmas-wise. I can't say there is any real irony, perhaps in the way they dress because it's so over the top, but you could also say they just went for it and accept everything that you throw at them. And that's also the tone of the song. It's just out there, it's cheerful, it's bright, it's a lovely fresh starter for the holiday season. At number 30, Wizard, I Wish It Could Be Christmas Every Day. At number 29, Otis Redding, White Christmas, coming from the Soul Christmas compilation album, which also is a beautiful compilation. Highlight for me is this Otis Redding song. White Christmas is one of those songs that I think everybody recognizes it, and everybody recognizes Bing Crosby's voice. So when you do a cover of that song, beware, because you're competing with the best. Otis Redding here does something truly remarkable. He makes it his own. In the phrasing, in the timing, in some of the ad-libs there, but it never becomes too much of a soul impromptu. It never becomes too much of a, I'm taking the song and my identity is more important than the element of the song there. No, Otis Redding serves the lyrics. He serves the melodies in such a beautiful, even very, I can't say posh, but in a very sincere and a serious manner, but with those gorgeous soul elements and one of the most brilliant, beautiful voices out there. Have you seen Love Actually? I think most of the people have seen Love Actually. I watch it annually, and Love Actually has the most gorgeous usage of this song in that film. At number 29, Otis Redding, White Christmas. At number 28, There Is No Christmas Without Ella Fitzgerald. And this song from Ella Wishes You a Swinging Christmas. There are loads of songs to pick from this record. In its entirety, it's lovely, and I also spoke about in the top 25 best Christmas albums. But picking one of the songs here, without too much overlap with other titles in this video, I'm going for What Are You Doing New Year's Eve? I love the element of a certain loneliness there. There's a certain longing. She goes at the holiday season with a different angle, with a certain longing. And I love that. An element of longing. A lot of Christmas songs just go out for cheerfulness and happy family and what I call the Paul McCartney Christmas. And I like that. Of course I like that. I love it all. But when you can come close to the reality of the festive season and put an element of melancholia or longing in there, it can hit so much more. It can hit so much deeper. At number 28, Ella Fitzgerald, What Are You Doing New Year's Eve? At 27, from A Very She and Him Christmas, I'll Be Home for Christmas. Zooey Deschanel's voice here, in a very simple way of producing and making music, you hear guitar very closely recorded. And her, can I say crooning? Is she crooning here? She makes it so intimate. She makes her voice so small, but due to the recording technique, it sounds so grand. And there is an element of cold in here. Again, this is one of those songs that actually has longing. I'll be home for Christmas. And I'm sticking to the word longing. I want to put more labels on it, but it's specifically her voice, that tone, the simplistic nature. Great, great version. At number 27, She and Him, I'll Be Home for Christmas. At number 25, no, first 26. Okay, there's gotta be a Louis Armstrong song in here. And most of the times people will talk about Is That You, Santa Claus? Which is a great song, and I think Louis Armstrong fits perfectly well with the holiday season. And I love that song. But for this video, I'm going with something else. It comes from this little EP from, I believe, 1954 or 1955, which is called Armstrong as Santa Claus. And this contains his version of Winter Wonderland. And I've heard loads of versions of Winter Wonderland. But Louis Armstrong does something very specific here. A lot of the warmth and the cheerfulness of his style is about the tone of his voice. But the Gordon Jenkins Orchestra here, I mean, Gordon Jenkins and his orchestra, they set this classical jazz Christmas mood that make this song this light-hearted, dreamlike festivity, because the walking in the winter wonderland, it's almost like an amusement park, a dream coming true, with the dreamy voice of Louis Armstrong. It is just the perfect combination. And I love the funkiness of that other song. And if this video would be longer, if it would be a top 50 or a top 100, of course I'd be talking about that. But this may be the most Christmassy contribution Louis Armstrong has done. At number 26, Winter Wonderland. At number 25, Brandley with Rocking Around the Christmas Tree. I could not leave this song out of here. I believe even 2 years ago, it wasn't Mariah Carey's song that was on a number one in the Christmas charts. It was this one, the Brenda Lee Merry Christmas song, making a revival because of the usage in the film Home Alone, which becomes more and more and more a classic. I believe mostly to my generation. There are a lot of things with the movies changing around, becoming classics in new generations. Remarkably, this 50s song, rock and roll song, it only grows. The cheerfulness, the rock and roll vibe, rocking around the Christmas tree. I just love it. It is so lighthearted, so cheerful. I have a first US mono pressing. It's a banger. Great song. At number 25, we're going to number 24. Coming from Phil Spector's Christmas album, a song by Darlene, Love, Christmas, Baby, Please Come Home. It wasn't even this version that I grew up to. As a matter of fact, coincidentally, I have it here from another, compilation or several artists doing a record. I've been listening mostly to the U2 song, U2 version, which I really love. I think U2 did a great job there, which in a different or longer list, U2 would have made the cut, but Darlene Love, Christmas, Baby, Please Come Home, and the way she shouts, Baby, please come home. Ooh, that voice. And then Phil Spector's wall of sound. I mean, this is one of the all-time great Christmas albums out there, bringing cheer, elements of soul, big sound, and then that voice, Darlene Love, doing Christmas Baby Please Come Home. Stunning, awesome. At number 24, Darlene Love, Christmas Baby Please Come Home. At 23, the Beach Boys Christmas album with the track Little Saint Nick. I gotta give you some context for this one. Before I bought this record, I actually did not enjoy the Beach Boys. Now I do. I've done a top 5 video on my channel. I'm working on a top 10 because they have too many great records to just stick to a top 5. But when I listened to this one, all the harmonies finally made sense. And side 1 opens with Little Saint Nick. And the way they are doing this, those voices mixing together, all those layers of melody, they bring Christmas cheer. The entirety of this album does. But Little Saint Nick vibes. What a song. At number 23, the Beach Boys, Little Saint Nick. At 22, a much more dark tone. Coming from Tom Waits, from his Blue Valentine album, I'm going with Christmas Card from a Hooker in Wyoming. Wyoming, Minneapolis. I wrote it down here in Wyoming. I'm not sure why I made it Wyoming. It's Minneapolis. Where else? I don't know. This is the kind of song Tom Waits sets a mood of being completely down and out, melancholy. You imagine this man sitting behind a piano in his old apartment above a drugstore with neon lights from outside coming inside, with a very small Christmas tree on the table, with cigarette butts on the piano, a glass of whiskey, and he's down and out. And then suddenly a little bit of love comes in the shape of that Christmas card from the most unlikely person to send him that love. Man, there's no direct Christmas sentiment going on here. It's Tom Waits and a piano, and it's a story set during Christmas time. It is awesome. At 22, Tom Waits, Christmas Card in Minneapolis. Moving further, we're gonna go to something truly Dutch. And a lot of people know that I'm from the Netherlands, following this channel, and I'm very cautious with putting Dutch records, at least in the Dutch language, in my videos. But for Christmas, I gotta stay close to my heart. And I'm gonna be talking about a song that perhaps even a lot of Dutch people may not have heard. It's a song by Jordaan. It's called Kerstmis in the Jordaan. Also translating it to English, Christmas in the Jordaan. And the Jordaan is a neighborhood in Amsterdam. And it is traditionally a folks, how do you say it? I'm not sure how you say that in English. But in the 50s, it was a very poor neighborhood. But it was the neighborhood that had the big church of Amsterdam. This one. The Westertoren, the Western Tower. And the song sings about the way that tower brings him back to the Christmas of his youth, of being a poor family and waiting for the final moment to go out with his mother and to walk to the nearest stop to buy a Christmas tree, because if you'd waited just long enough, it would be a couple of cents less. So then the family could afford it. And getting together and hanging up lights in the Christmas tree and singing Silent Night. It's so simple. But hearing it in this 1954 recording, on this 1954 EP, from this beautiful, beautiful voice. Even if you do not understand the lyrics, go ahead, pause this video, look it up, Kerstmis in de Jordaan, and I'm sure it'll break your heart. Beautiful organ, beautiful imagery. At number 21, Jordaan with Kerstmis in de Jordaan. At number 20, from old melancholia in a poor, almost Charles Dickens-like Dutch Amsterdam Christmas, we're going to Paul McCartney's completely cheerful, wonderful Christmas time. At number 20. Why? It doesn't get much simpler and brighter lyrically, because I think the way the song builds, bum 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 bum. I think it's well structured. I think it's great pop, and just the element of simply having a wonderful Christmas time. It's so joyful. I grew up in a household that was more Rolling Stones oriented, and I got interested in Christmas music, and my parents were more on the side of John Lennon because it has to have content and you have to talk about something. So this was the devil's song in our household. My mother said, no, it's just superficial American Christmas. Now, well, I also like superficial American Christmas, but there's more going on here. Paul McCartney gets you into the cheer. And thank you, Paul McCartney, for that. At number 20, Paul McCartney, Wonderful Christmas Time. Now, a little bit of a sadder Christmas. Mud. Lonely this Christmas. Last week I was in Bulgaria and I was working on a film and I was talking about doing this video and about best Christmas songs, and my colleague, when I mentioned this song, said, yeah, but I prefer the Elvis Presley version. There's no Elvis Presley version. He says, yeah, it's an Elvis Presley cover. I said, no, it was done in the style of Elvis Presley. So we got in this argument in Bulgaria about this song. But although this may be inspired by Elvis Presley and rock and roll and doo-wop songs, Mud definitely made this themselves in their own version. I love it. The sentiment is so thick. The sing is so thick. It is so centered on embracing one's own misery, even melting away in one's own misery. It's shameless in that regard, and I love it for that. Love the bass here, love the way it flows. It's one of those Christmas songs that, although it's somewhat sober or weary in its mood, musically it goes on and is a pretty light-hearted one if you're compiling a video. So at number 19, Mud with Lonely This Christmas. At number 18, I was so lucky. 2 months ago I was in Los Angeles and I was at a flea market and I found this near mint for $5. Dean Martin's Christmas album in mono. I love that. And this contains one of my all-time favorite Christmas songs. It's his version of Let It Snow, Let It Snow, Let It Snow. And why go with Dean Martin? Because Dean Martin, in his voice, in his presentation, in his performance, has a playfulness that is just lovely. There's a lightheartedness all over this guy, and sometimes it's a little bit too lighthearted, but when it's Christmas time and he does, most of the songs here, Marshmallow World, Winter Wonderland, Silent Night, Silver Bells, beautiful versions here. Let It Snow, Let It Snow, Let It Snow, for me is one of the old-time classic versions. I adore it. At number 18, Dean Martin, Let It Snow, Let It Snow, Let It Snow. We're going to number 17, and I've got a bit of an odd choice here. Wait a second. And hear me out. Because when I saw that this record existed, I thought, never am I gonna buy this. but I did. It's John Denver and the Muppets. I had this conversation with the record seller, Ruud, perhaps Ruud is watching, about this record, because he said, it's actually a very good record. And I said, no. I mean, I like John Denver. I think he's okay. I think he wrote some great songs. I already bought a Christmas album by his, which I rarely play because it's too sweet, it's too sentimental, not my taste. And if he then starts to collaborate with the Muppets, I mean, I'd love to buy the Muppets A Christmas Carol record. That's what I said to him. I love to buy that one because that's also one of the memes going on. A Muppets Christmas Carol is to the millennials what It's a Wonderful Life is to the baby boomers. Well, Wonderful Life is to the baby boomers what it is to me. I love that film as well. So tough comparison, but that film has a special place. That's the film, the musical, with the great songs. So why would I bother with this one? And what the record seller, Ruud, said to me was, it'll break your heart. Listen to When the River Meets the Sea. And I thought, yeah. So I bought it for $7. And it goes for a lot more right now, by the way, but I bought it for $7. And honestly, the entirety of this record is good. It is really, really good. And When the River Meets the Sea is this gospel song. It starts with one of the Muppets. I believe it's the small frog, the tiny frog, the nephew of Kermit. And it makes my eyes wet. It was so genuine. It was so talking about life and things and reflecting in a beautiful, lighthearted manner. Sometimes the Muppets can really hit you emotionally, like when Jim Henson passed away, and the Puppeteers they did a tribute to him, and then they know where to hit the spot very directly, very simple, very sweet, almost childlike, but they know how to address the things that are important to us. That's what When the River Meets the Sea does. And when John Denver gets aboard, he really gives a very delicate, beautiful performance. And the entirety of this song is a masterpiece of Christmas recordings. Sometimes the most beautiful presents are at the most unexpected place under the Christmas tree. I'm sorry, that's a bad. Is it an allegory? Is that what you say? It's just a bad line, but I do mean it. At number 17, John Denver and the Muppets, When the River Meets the Sea. At number 16, Jona, Lewy, Stop the Cavalry. Now, Stop the Cavalry is an interesting song because it wasn't originally intended as a Christmas song. But I believe this is about the First World War, the story that is also told in Joyeux Noël. At least that's what I'm reading into the lyrics. Perhaps I'm wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong. But it's a story of having to fight the enemy, and the enemy is coming back and forth and back and forth. And then he sings, Wish I Was at Home for Christmas. Bum, 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 bum. And it just breaks your heart. And it brings me to that story of Joyeux Noël, the story of the First World War, where somebody in the trenches started playing harmonica during Christmas. And instead of the other end of the line starting shooting at the guy playing harmonica, I believe he played Silent Night, they came out together and they shared their food and they started playing soccer or football. I'm not sure how it's called different cultures. That element of Christmas in the most horrible places, finding cheer or just longing for home. Jona Lewy does an incredible job of Stop the Cavalry. It never gets weary or over sentimental. It's beautiful and direct. I love it. At number 16, Jona Lewy, Stop the Cavalry. At number 15, a song that I do not own on vinyl. I'm talking about Mariah Carey, All I Want for Christmas Is You. I did a video on my channel talking about that album, and I borrowed that album, and the entirety of that album is horrible for one song, and I think for all the fakeness in the rest of that album, I got to acknowledge that that one single, All I Want for Christmas Is You, is brilliantly put together. It touches me. Melodically, it's challenging, it's heartwarming, it has a beautiful vibe. That is just a really, really good song. Even if you might be watching and you're hoping for more alternative titles, yeah, I'll bring on some more alternative titles because there are great Christmas songs unknown. But credit given where it is supposed to go. Mariah Carey, All I Want for Christmas Is You, at number 15. But now we go to something obscure, just as I promised. At number 14, John Cale, A Child's Christmas in Wales, coming from his record Paris 1990. John Cale, an avant-garde artist, going Christmassy. Well, don't expect a typical Christmas song, because John Cale comes with interesting structures, surprising vocal lines, and nevertheless paints a picture of a time, a scenery, almost like a Charles Dickens novel that just is adorable. If you have your Spotify Christmas list and there's still some space left for something new and exciting, well, although it's more than 50 years old, to me this song is new because you rarely hear it on the radio. Put this one in and it will give a little bit more depth to that Christmas list and to the cheer. At number 14, John Cale, A Child's Christmas in Wales. Aha. Going towards number 13. David Bowie and Bing Crosby, with Peace on Earth and Little Drummer Boy. Now, the story behind this recording is spectacular. David Bowie tried to take things down a bit. Late 70s, I believe it's 1978. So he appeared on the Bing Crosby show. Bing Crosby doing an annual Christmas show, and Bing Crosby being the god of Christmas music in America. It's safe to say that. And Bing Crosby, as David Bowie told about it later on, was already very old. And he was very much friendly, but not really present. Bowie said that he'd come on the show and he'd be like, "Hi, my name is David Bowie." And Bing Crosby would be answering like, "Oh, hiya, David. How nice of you to come here. What are you doing here?" "Well, I'm gonna be singing a song with you together." "That's so nice, David." I just love the idea of that dynamic. And Bowie noticed that a Little Drummer Boy, with the powerful, strong, low frequencies of Bing Crosby, that would be hard to beat for him. I mean, Bowie just started singing lower and lower, but there's no beating the low voice of Crosby. So on set, he went to a piano and he worked with, I believe, somebody from the team to make this into a pastiche with Peace on Earth. So while Bing Crosby does the "Come, they told me, pum," then Bowie does "Peace on Earth, can it be? Here's for now, perhaps we'll see." And he just found a way to intertwine these lines and to make this duet one of the most exciting duets in Christmas history. Perhaps the most. No, there are going to be more exciting duets in Christmas history, and even in this video. But this is a splendid job, and I love it. And I love the little piece of dialogue before the song starts. At number 13, David Bowie and Bing Crosby, Little Drummer Boy. At number 12, another big Christmas hit, but this is a man we should give credit. I'm talking about Wham! With Last Christmas. And I've been listening to the version on this one, which is the pudding mix. I have no idea what's different about the pudding mix, and I still want to buy it on single. Nevertheless, the thing is, George Michael, being in his early 20s, decided it was time for a Christmas song. All alone, by himself. So he went into the studio by himself. And he wrote the song. Musically, lyrics, by himself. He produced the song by himself. And he played all the instruments by himself. A lot of people associate this song with it being a big commercial cash grab. And yeah, this is a very big commercial successful song. And it's being played all year round. Though it wasn't even the number one song on the charts that year. There was another Christmas song. That involved George Michael, namely Band-Aid, Do They Know It's Christmas Time at All? That was a number one. This was a number two. Nevertheless, George Michael, struggling with his own insecurities and loneliness surrounding Christmas, decided to make this by himself and release a Christmas song. That, plus the fact that he died between Christmas Eve and the first day of Christmas, with all the loneliness and problems that he had gathered, I mean, make it for me a heartbreaking song. And George Michael, the voice of an angel, a beautiful talent within pop and soul. The man deserves credit. At number 12, Wham! Last Christmas. At number 11, Willie Nelson with the song Pretty Paper, coming from his Pretty Paper Christmas album. I did not see this coming. I ordered this vinyl a couple of years ago when I was in a period of hunting down Willie Nelson records. And I never heard a lot of talk about this Christmas album, but I thought, I love Christmas, I love Willie Nelson, I'll just give it a shot. First song on here, Pretty Paper. It sounds as if it's recorded in complete desolation. The beautiful voice of Willie Nelson coming through and singing about, I mean, there is a dark tone to it, but also produced and arranged by Booker T. Jones. There is a warmth in the type of recording. There's soberness and warmth in the way it sounds. Man, this is good stuff. At number 11, Willie Nelson, Pretty Paper. Going into the top 10. And I'm gonna share the top 10 spot by two songs, because I just had to include both of them. I don't own one of them on vinyl, which I find frustrating, still looking for that single. 10 is a shared spot for Slade, Merry Christmas Everybody, and the Kinks, Father Christmas. Why both here? Well, both are hard rock bands. You may even say Slade is also a little bit of a glam rock band. Though Father Christmas is critique on the holidays and on the fact that certain children get more and bigger presents than others, and the poor children always are forgotten. I mean, there's a sharp view at society. Slade just embraces Christmas in all its glam, ultra openness, vibing. Lyrically, they are getting your grandmother. Does your grandma always tell you that the old songs are the best, but does she end up rock and rolling with the rest? So here it is. Merry Christmas, everybody's having fun. They're not taking back, they're just full gas ahead in Christmas cheer. Great guitars, soaring, raw, hard rock voice. And the strange thing is, whenever music or pop music or rock gets too heavy, like you can even go to heavy metal, you're bound to lose some cheerfulness. Then thematically it may be Christmas, but because of the roughness you may lose something. Slade is, in my opinion, somewhere on the borderline. They push the boundary of rough hard rock with Christmas vibes, and this song is truly unique. On number 10, The Kinks with Father Christmas, and Slade, Merry Christmas, Everybody. Going towards number 9. Bruce Springsteen with Santa Claus is Coming to Town. Coming from his maxi single with both My Hometown and Santa Claus is Coming to Town, which was recorded live in Greenville, New York on December 12, 1975. But the release is from 1985. Why do I like this so much? Well, Springsteen brings the chords and the structure of "You better watch out, you better not cry, you better not pout, I'm telling you why, Santa Claus is coming to town." He brings it down to 3 basic chords, and he makes it "You better watch out, you better not cry, you better not pout, I'm telling you why, Santa Claus is coming to town. Santa Claus is coming to town." I really love the way he makes it more into a rock banger. That's one thing he does. And he makes it fit really well with his voice and with his tone, and makes it, he keeps the Christmas cheer alive, but he also makes it into a rock song fitting to who he is as an artist. Then the E Street Band. They are clearly having fun here with the bells, with small pieces of dialogue. There's this "ho, ho, ho, Merry Christmas" Santa Claus imitation going all around, and without it ever becoming cliche or too thick. They are just a young bunch of people truly having fun with the holiday spirit, and that's what I love about this live recording. Beautiful, lovely version. At number 9, Santa Claus is Coming to Town, which makes me wonder, there's also a Bruce Springsteen edition on this one, a very special Christmas, but here he does Merry Christmas Baby. So, well, it didn't put it in the list, but I would, just as going through it, I thought, oh yeah, there's another Bruce Springsteen Christmas song. At number 8, I'm going to talk about Frank Sinatra here. And pretty soon I'm going to do a top 10 of Frank Sinatra albums. But before I do that, just talk about this beautiful little song. Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas. Coming from the Sinatra Christmas album. And what I'm holding here is a British pressing. I think it's a British repress. It doesn't have the very recognizable cover. Still looking for an original. Nevertheless, this just sounds like coming home. The beautiful, delicate orchestra, again by Gordon Jenkins. I mean, what are you going to call it if you want jazz Christmas orchestra? Does a splendid job. Beautiful concentration. And then the voice of Sinatra gets in. Have yourselves a merry little Christmas. The way he makes it sound so simple, with such a full, relaxed, warm, control sound. It's as if after all the Christmas chaos and shopping outside in the cold and everywhere glue wine and chocolate milk with rum and stuff and festivities, and it's great fun, of course. This record feels like all of the Christmas packages under your arm, getting back home, putting that aside, just dropping everything on the couch, put the fireplace on, get the dog close, and just listen to that beautiful, relaxed, warm, soothing Frank Sinatra. At number 8. At number 7. Actually not coming from a Christmas record whatsoever. It is Joni Mitchell's River. And although Blue does have a very somber, beautiful though tone, there's one Christmas song River. It actually opens with a piano melody. It's bum 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 bum, and then she starts her own song, singing about a relationship during the holidays and having the feeling that you're stuck together with someone. And she is fantasizing about skating away. And she analyzes the relationship and what's going on and her own mistakes and the mistakes of the other. And while doing that, every time when she says, "I wish I had a river, I could skate away," it's as if she needs a relief from this holiday. There is stress going on. And that's something you seldom hear in Christmas songs, but honestly, I've experienced it like that. And I'm curious, have you experienced it like that? Then it can be really comforting to have a song that is about that. When all the songs are pushing you to be in love with the ones you're with, Christmas can be pretty stressful. Joni Mitchell creates a safe space for the emotions that are not very much wished during the holidays, but that's the thing with emotions. They are there. Better to acknowledge them. Thank you, Joni Mitchell at 7 River. Another Christmas song on another Christmas album is actually by Melanie. Melanie passed away about almost 2 years ago. And I think she's one of the most bright, brilliant singer-songwriters out there. Just looking at this album, her first record, some of the songs were written when she was 17 or 18, I believe. Mama Mama was written by that time. Beautiful songwriting. And what not a lot of people know is that Melanie was a Christmas geek. She actually recorded a Christmas album 20 or 30 years ago, I believe sometime in the 90s, called Antlers. I talked about that record in the top 25 best Christmas albums, but I'm including a different song. I'm including her version of Merry Christmas, which is a pretty odd one out on this album. River is not an odd one out tone-wise on Blue, because it fits with the tone. It's a Christmas song that fits in that entirely. This record that somehow goes into cheerfulness, but I'm also very happy that she did, because it's such a gorgeous, heartwarming cover. And it's coming from someone who truly believes in Christmas, in what it can mean, and in how you can shape Christmas yourself and make it worthwhile. Thanks, Melanie, for Merry Christmas. At number 6. Now we are entering top 5 territory. I think it's exciting to share this stuff. At number 5. It has been controversial for the last couple of years. And there even have been versions censored. And I oppose that. Because Shane MacGowan knew what he was writing. And he made one of the best Christmas songs with the Pokes. On this record, If I Should Fall from Grace of God. And the song that I'm talking about is Fairy Tale of New York. I believe it's generally regarded one of the, perhaps even the best Christmas song within the United Kingdom. And this song sings about 2 Irish immigrants moving to New York in the hopes of having a better future. But life was not all that in Ireland. Life is not all that in New York. And the once beautiful romance starts to fall apart. And they become annoyed. They become angry. And they start shouting. They start, how do you say that? Calling each other names. And that's also where the censorship comes from. But I mean, that's in a context in which they call each other names. This has one of the most brilliant lines. Shane MacGowan's vocal says in a slower moment of reflection, I could have been someone. And then she answers, well, so could anyone. Brilliant songwriting. A masterpiece. Powerful recording. Man. At number 5, The Pogues, Fairy Tale of New York. Number 4. I already mentioned this earlier. John Lennon and Yoko Ono, Happy Christmas. War is over. What's to say about this song? Earlier today, I took my guitar actually, and I was playing this on my guitar, and there is something about the chord development, starting with that. And so this is Christmas, dung daga daga dung daga daga dung. You go from A to an A sus2, I believe, and an A sus4, something like that. I'm much more of a guy who just holds the fingers correct and forget the name. But every new line, every moment you go to a new chord, it has 2 or 3 chord variations that give it that beautiful variation, which gives the song so much of its character. And then John Lennon recorded a beautiful moment of his solo career. I just love the directness of his voice. There's this dreaming quality, but he's never this poetic dreamer. He's just sincere, going at it. I want a better world, and this is what I'm thinking. And then on this channel, as for example, when I was doing a review of their concert, not the concert for New York City, but we got this release a month ago with a live show, the only full live show they did, and I was very excited about the John Lennon songs. I was not so excited about Yoko Ono's songs. Yoko Ono's vocals here are stunning. It's a very tough to do high. She makes it sound easy, and she really adds to the voice of John Lennon. I mean, credit where credit is due. This song, lyrically, the element of reflection there, another year over, a new one just begun. It's one of those Christmas songs that confronts me, that asks me questions, and in my mind I start to answer them. And those kinds of questions, that element of reflection, it also shapes Christmas. It is not just a moment to party. It is also a moment to think, to pause down, to slow things down. And before we start a new year, let's question, are we happy with what we are doing? Thank you, John Lennon, for that. And I think in that writing, it is an addition to the Christmas vocabulary and in a certain way the stories, like some of the Charles Dickens novels or short writings surrounding Christmas. We really need this kind of stuff. At number 4, John Lennon and Yoko Ono, Happy Christmas. War is over. Number 3, a lot easier and a lot less ideals than John Lennon and Yoko Ono. But this to me is all about the voice and the presentation. Elvis Presley's Blue Christmas. The way he almost hiccups himself into Blue Christmas. Hell, blue. With this beautiful choir behind him. Ooh, Christmas without you. The element of loneliness, longing, I like it when you can put that in a song and don't make it too heavy. You make it recognizable and be part of the experience of Christmas. And sometimes Christmas can be lonely, and Elvis Presley gives that the most remarkable, soothing, beautiful voice. The entirety of this record is of the finest Christmas quality. And that particular song, Blue Christmas, in I believe under 3 minutes, takes me away. At number 3, Elvis Presley, Blue Christmas. At number 2, you cannot make a list without the old Bing Crosby. We got some new Bing Crosby, or at least just before he died, with David Bowie. But the biggest selling Christmas single out there should be in there. And I'm talking about Bing Crosby. Crosby's White Christmas. And as simple as it may seem, I tried to sing it about a week ago, playing it on a guitar with somebody playing cello next to me, and I noticed how the timing of those vocals and the way he just makes them go and how easy it sounds are one hell of a job. This is of a remarkable quality. And it's also one of those songs that, as a listener, when I put it on, wherever I am, in December, it is just Christmas to me. Even if it's not the 25th or the 26th, even if I'm alone, even if I'm at a place in the world where they're not hanging lights. I have to travel a lot for work, and sometimes you're alone, you're just in a hotel room and waiting for your next day of filming and nothing is going on. And when I put this on, it is the core of Christmas. Everything I want to feel is inside that song. There's this film called Krampus. I really love that film. It's a horror Christmas movie from 9 years ago with a Christmas monster. And then a Republican family and a Democrat family, they come together and snowstorm and they get stuck together. And then suddenly, after the shit hits the fan, a little bit of Bing comes on the radio. And then they say, well, I think that's the only thing we share this during Christmas, that Bing Crosby makes it. And that's true. At number 2, Bing Crosby, White Christmas. So what's on number 1? The best Christmas song. Well, it's actually called The Christmas Song, as performed by Nat King Cole. Chestnuts roasting on an open fire. Jack Frost nipping at your nose. The way Nat King Cole sets the mood, by just his voice and the lyrics he speaks or sings, he puts you in that wooden cabin, warm, nice, and gives you that Christmas experience just with that song. Just like Bing Crosby does with White Christmas. But I think this one is, it's tough to compare. They are both brilliant, but perhaps Nat King Cole's a little bit more, even more delicate. Very warm. And the orchestra here, they do such an incredible job. This is just a stunning dream of a Christmas song. At number 1, Nat King Cole's The Christmas Song. So I'm curious, what do you think? Do you agree? Do you disagree? Or do you just have songs to add? Because I want to make this a Christmas tradition, and in 2 years I want to make the list bigger, and I want to work towards very long, big Christmas YouTube specials just talking about Christmas music. So please, if you want to talk about more songs, more Christmas records, leave a comment below, and I'll see you in my next video, and Merry Christmas. Bye.